I never thought a stupid joke could turn my whole life upside down. But that is exactly what happened. One careless sentence said without thinking cracked open a truth I did not know I was avoiding. Even now it feels strange to say that my entire future changed in a single moment by a fire pit surrounded by half-drunk friends and cheap music playing from a speaker. My name is Joseph. I am 28 years old, and this is one of those stories that still does not feel real when I say it out loud. I live in a pretty ordinary American city. Nothing special, nothing dramatic. I work a regular office job with emails, spreadsheets, and meetings that could have been emails. I pay my bills, complain about traffic, and order takeout more often than I should. I am not rich, not famous, not special. Just a normal guy trying to get through the week. The best part of my life back then was our friend group. We had known each other for years, and we had this unspoken rule that at least one night every weekend we did something together. Sometimes it was a loud club downtown. Sometimes it was a movie night with pizza and bad horror films. Other times we drove out of the city and sat by a lake or rented a small house just to escape for a night. And in the middle of that group was Charlotte. Charlotte was 26, a graphic designer with a quiet sense of humor that always caught you off guard. She loved coffee more than anyone I knew, and always kept a hoodie in her car in case it got cold. She was easy to be around, easy to talk to. To me, she was safe, familiar, one of the guys. I never thought of her as anything more than a close friend. And looking back, that is the part that scares me the most. I had no idea what was really going on inside her head. That Saturday was supposed to be just another weekend. One of our friends had rented a small house outside the city with a backyard and a fire pit. The plan was simple. Get there in the afternoon, cook, drink, talk about life like we had it all figured out, then fall asleep wherever we landed. Work had been brutal that week. Deadlines, pressure, stupid mistakes that kept me late. By the time I got in my car, all I wanted was one night where my brain could shut off. When I arrived, people were already unloading bags, arguing about who forgot the charcoal. I saw Charlotte near her car, trying to carry too many things at once. I asked if she needed help. She smiled at me, that same relaxed smile I had seen 100 times, and told me only if I promised not to eat all the chips before we got inside. It felt normal, comfortable. No tension, no awkwardness, just us. The evening unfolded the way it always did. Music playing, drinks opening, jokes flying around. The sun slowly went down, and that warm, tired feeling settled into my body. For the first time all week, nothing felt urgent. Later, once it got dark, sat near the fire pit. Charlotte was next to me, wrapped in her hoodie, holding her drink with both hands. She laughed at my stupid work stories, and I kept telling more just to hear it again. I did not think anything of how close she was sitting, or how her knee brushed mine now and then. I just thought she was in a good mood. By the time the fire was glowing bright and everyone was relaxed, someone suggested a dumb game. Who in this group is going to get married first? It was always a joke. Fingers pointed, accusations flew, laughter followed. Someone pointed at me and said I would probably be the last one. Too picky to settle down. Everyone laughed. Charlotte nudged my shoulder and said I was not picky, just careful. I thanked her and raised my drink. It all felt easy. Then someone yelled, "Why don't you just marry Charlotte?" The group exploded with laughter. Everyone looked at us, waiting for a reaction. I do not know why I said what I said next. Maybe it was the alcohol. Maybe it was how comfortable I felt. I raised my cup toward her and said jokingly, "Charlotte, marry me. I promise I treat you better than anyone." It was supposed to be funny. Everyone laughed, but Charlotte did not. She turned and looked at me in a way I had never seen before. Calm, serious, honest. Then she said clear and steady, "I thought you'd never ask." The laughter died instantly. My heart slammed into my chest. For a second I thought I had misheard her. The yard went quiet. I tried to laugh it off, but my voice sounded wrong. She touched my arm gently and asked if we could talk. We stepped away from the group, the fire crackling behind us, suddenly feeling very far away. She told me she had feelings for me that she had for a long time, that she never said anything because she did not want to ruin the friendship. I did not know what to say. My mind went blank. This was Charlotte, my friend, the one person I trusted without thinking. As we stood there, something inside me shifted. I did not understand it yet, but I knew one thing for sure. That night was not going to leave my mind anytime soon. The rest of that night passed in a strange blur. When we walked back toward the fire pit, everyone tried to act normal, but nothing felt the same anymore. Conversations restarted, drinks were refilled, music kept playing, but there was an invisible line between Charlotte and me that had not existed before. We did not sit as close. We did not joke the same way. Every glance felt heavier, like it carried a question neither of us was ready to answer. Later, when people started heading inside to sleep, I lay on a couch staring at the ceiling, listening to distant laughter and footsteps. My mind kept replaying her words over and over. I have had feelings for you for a long time. I wondered how I had missed it, how someone could be right next to me for years and I never really saw her. The next morning felt off from the moment I woke up. Usually mornings after group nights were loud and messy. Someone always complained about a headache. Someone else made terrible eggs. But that morning, everything felt quieter. When I walked into the kitchen, Charlotte was already there, sitting at the table with a mug of coffee, staring at her phone. She looked up when she saw me. "Morning," she said softly. "Hey," I replied. That was it. Just 2 words, but they carried so much more than they ever had before. It was not awkward exactly, just careful. Like both of us were trying not to step on something fragile. As the others filled the kitchen with noise, we slipped back into our usual rhythm, cleaning up, packing bags, joking like always. But every time our eyes met, I felt this quiet pull in my chest, something warm and unfamiliar. When we finally drove home later that day, my phone buzzed. A message from her. "Did you get home safe?" We had texted each other 1,000 times before, but this felt different. I replied right away. From that moment on, the conversation did not really stop. Nothing dramatic, nothing overly flirty, just checking in, sharing small parts of our days, pictures of her messy desk, complaints about my meetings. It felt easy, natural. A few nights later, she called me after work. She asked if I was busy and if I wanted to go for a walk. We met near a park close to her place. When I saw her walking toward me, hands in her hoodie pockets, hair slightly messy from the wind, something clicked. She felt familiar, but also new. We walked for almost 2 hours, talking about everything and nothing. At one point, she asked if she had freaked me out that night. I admitted that she had, but not in a bad way. She looked relieved and we kept walking. The next weekend, the whole group got together again, this time for a movie night at someone's apartment. I noticed immediately how Charlotte sat closer to me than usual, how her knee brushed mine and stayed there, how she leaned in to whisper jokes during the movie. Our friends noticed too, a few raised eyebrows, a few smirks, but nobody said anything. Halfway through the second movie, she slipped her hand into mine under the blanket. I froze for half a second, then let my fingers close around hers. A calm warmth spread through me. Not excitement, not nerves, just something steady. After the movies ended and everyone started grabbing their jackets, she touched my arm and asked if we could talk outside. The night air was cool and quiet. She told me she understood if I was scared, that she did not want to rush anything, that friendships do not have to break just because feelings grow. I told her I was still figuring things out, but that I wanted to try. She smiled, soft and patient. A few days later, I woke up with this clear feeling in my chest. I did not want to stay stuck in that in-between space. I wanted to take a real step. So I texted her and asked if I could take her out on a real date. When she said yes, my heart raced like I was 16 again. We met that evening, just a simple walk in a park and coffee afterward. I was nervous in a way I had not felt in years. When I saw her, something settled inside me. We talked, really talked about how fast everything changed, about how neither of us expected this. She told me she had cared about me longer than she ever admitted. That honesty hit me harder than anything else. At some point, our hands brushed and stayed together. She smiled like she had been holding her breath for years. When the night ended, we stood by her car, neither of us wanting to leave. She asked how I felt now. I told her the truth, that the joke was not meant to mean anything, but everything after it did. She said she always believed I would take care of the people I loved, that she hoped one day she would be one of them. I told her I wanted to really try with her. We did not kiss that night. We did not need to. Something real had already started. Driving home, I realized this was not confusion or impulse. It was the beginning of something steady, warm, and unexpected. The first few months with Charlotte felt surprisingly natural. There was no dramatic shift, no moment where everything suddenly became perfect. Life was still life. We had work stress, bad days, small disagreements, and moments where we were both tired and quiet. But underneath all of that, there was a steady comfort that made everything easier to handle. Our friends noticed the change in me before I fully did. I stopped staying late at the office just to avoid going home. I cooked more. I slept better. My days felt lighter. Charlotte and I spent most weekends together, sometimes with the group, sometimes just the two of us. Nothing felt forced. Our relationship did not arrive with a big announcement. It simply existed, and somehow it fit perfectly. One night we were sitting on her couch watching a movie. Halfway through, she fell asleep with her head on my shoulder. I muted the TV and stayed still, afraid to wake her. I looked down at her and felt something settle deep in my chest. It was quiet but heavy in the best way. I realized I did not want a future that did not include her. Not someday, not maybe, just her. In all the ordinary moments, that was when I knew I wanted to marry her. I did not tell her right away. I wanted it to feel right. Not dramatic, not rushed, just honest. A few days later, after work, I went into a small jewelry store and bought a ring. Nothing flashy, something simple and delicate, something that felt like her. I kept it hidden for 2 weeks, thinking about how to ask. In the end, the answer felt obvious. I needed to take her back to where it all started. One Saturday, I told her we were going for a drive. She asked where, and I told her to trust me. When we pulled up to the same rental house outside the city, she laughed and asked if I was feeling nostalgic. I smiled and told her something like that. We walked into the backyard. The fire pit was cold, but the memory of that night felt alive around us. The jokes, the laughter, the moment everything changed. She stood there with her hands in her coat pockets, breathing out small clouds in the cool air. She said it felt different being there now. I told her we were different now. She turned toward me and asked what was going on. She said I had been acting strange all day. I took a slow breath, feeling my hands shake in my pockets, but it did not feel like fear. It felt like certainty. I asked her if she remembered what I said that night. She laughed and told me of course she did. I told her that last time it was a joke, but everything after that joke changed my life. Then I reached into my jacket, pulled out the ring, and got down on one knee. Her smile froze. Her hands flew to her mouth. She asked me what I was doing, even though she already knew. I looked up at her and told her this time I was asking for real. I asked her to marry me. For a moment she did not say anything. Her eyes filled with tears and her breath shook. Then she laughed softly through those tears and said she thought I would never ask again. She pulled me up and hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. She whispered yes into my shoulder. No music, no crowd, just us. As we stood there holding each other, I knew without a doubt that this was the clearest decision I had ever made. A few months later, we made it official in front of our families. Nothing big, just a simple dinner where everyone already knew what was coming. Smiles, quiet tears, and that feeling of being exactly where we were supposed to be. Our friends laughed about how they had witnessed the moment our whole life changed without even realizing it at the time. A year after that night by the fire pit, we got married. It was a small wedding. No grand decorations, no over-the-top speeches, just the people who mattered most, standing around us with genuine smiles. The same friends who once teased us about marriage were there, watching us promise forever. It felt right, calm, real. Today we live in a place we chose together. We argue about furniture. We split chores. We plan trips and complain about work. Some nights are exciting. Some nights are quiet. Most nights are ordinary. And that is what makes them perfect. Love did not arrive in our lives like a movie scene. It grew slowly, naturally, from friendship into something unshakable. Sometimes we sit on our balcony in the evening, and Charlotte laughs about how everything started because I opened my mouth without thinking. She says my joke changed her life. I tell her the truth. She was already there. I just finally learned how to see her. If you ask me what I learned from all of this, it is simple. The best things in life do not always announce themselves loudly. Sometimes they sit right next to you for years, waiting for one careless moment to turn into the most honest decision you will ever make. I jokingly asked my friend to marry me, and she said she thought I would never ask. Turns out she was right. I just did not know yet that asking her would become the best choice of my